Good day everyone, I am Wenceslin Guisado and I will be discussing about the language varieties of Lecture 19. So before we proceed with our discussions, let's have first a question in mind. How come there are different kinds of language around the world, considering we only have one English in mind? The one that we are using in our daily conversations or in our school, even if we are in different countries. Well, to answer the questions, it is because of historical background. Historical background of language. And English was based in history, came from England. And that lead us to our discussions for today, which entitled Language Varieties. So to understand the meaning of language varieties, it is important to consider how lex or dialects differ from Standard English. Even what constitutes Standard English is a hot topic debate among linguists. So Standard English is a controversial term for a form of English language that is written and spoken. And there are a handful of ways linguists categorize varieties of language. Some definitions refers to word usage and rules, or merely to vocabulary, while others refer to the way language adapt culturally. In broader stroke, all of these terms, however, can cover variations in grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Try to define first what is language variety. So, in social linguistics, language variety, also called dialect, it is a general term for any distinctive form of language or linguistic expression. So, linguists commonly use language variety or simply variety as a cover term for any of the overlapping subcategories of language. Different types of language. First, let's have our first category or different types of language, which is dialect. So, in Greek word dia meaning across, between, and region, it means speak. It is regional or social variety of language distinguished by pronunciation, grammar, or vocabulary. So the term dialect is often used to characterize a way of speaking that differs from the standard variety of language, according to Sarah Thompson of the Linguistic Society of America. And next, let's have register. So, register, it is the way a speaker uses language differently in different circumstances. It is used in all forms of communication, including written, spoken, and signed, and also called stylistic variation. So, in other words, register are marked by a variety of specialized vocabulary, colloquialism, the use of jargons, and indifference intonation. And next, let's have jargon. So jargon, it refers to the specialized language of a professional or occupational group. In other words, jargon is a folk's method of creating a sort of dialect that is only those on this group or inside group can understand the language. It refers to a language that sticks to the rules, and it is essentially presented as the proper form of English. So in practice, this is not necessarily practical English, but rather the sort of English we'd expect to see in formal writing or polite situation. Colloquial or informal. It is effectively anything that is not formal or often described as spoken language. So it is informal as the aim is to communicate rather than stick rigidly to rules. So it is where we see constructions and idiomatic language being used. There are countless varieties of this. Regional dialect, it is a variety spoken in particular region or varieties of language that emerge based on regionally specific cues. Next, let's have a social dialect. When we say social, it means it emerged like dialects but within a specific class or culture instead of a region. The lingua branca, it is a common language used between people who speak different language, bridging gaps in communication. This can be very adaptable and not necessarily to stick on tradition language rules. Pidgin is a simplified version of a lingua franca where people trying to communicate across different languages and develop their own form of communication. Sure, this technically makes it lingua franca, but it is often some from merging two or more languages together rather than as something true to one common language. So, Pidgin can therefore develop their own vocabulary and rules that can be very independent of the original source language. Creole. Creole it is an established form of Pidgin where a language developed from communicating over two or more languages is taken up by culture as a native language. So, a Creole different to Pidgin or dialects is that it will have unique rules with a full range of functions and may be thought as a mother tongue. For example, English developed Creoles include Georgia and Nigerian Creoles. Vernacular it is used to describe language as it is used naturally by specific people.